Dislike is a tie between Simo and Dzeeff. Dzeeff comes off as cocktail. I come off as a cocktail. And arrogant. I guess I am arrogant after that reply. Especially. I'm so sorry. This guy's I know I'm doing exactly what he's complaining about, but yeah, I actually just did exactly what you said I would do, so no complaints there. You're completely right. I just finished editing this video and I wanted to put this little note at the very start. I edited out pretty much every single time I read a positive comment, but I did want to say I read all of those positive comments on this Reddit thread that you're about to see. Man, you guys are so nice. Like, I actually was just so humbled to have such an awesome fan base. But I did just want to mention, if you left a positive comment, if you left a nice thing to say about me, thank you so much. It really made my night. But anyway, without further ado, enjoy me reading the mean comments on that Reddit thread. What is up, guys? Dzeeff here, and today we are doing something very, very special. Now, if you use Yu-Gi-Oh! Reddit, which I really don't, I've posted twice. Actually, I've replied to things in the Duel Links subreddit a few times. I think I've only made 2 posts, though, on Reddit. I don't really take Reddit too seriously. I think that there are YouTubers out there, there are big and small YouTubers that really, really heavily sort of think about and take feedback from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Subreddit on what they should be doing on their channel. Me personally, not so much. This exact thread happens like once a month or once every 2 months. And in the past, I have not done very well on it. And I remember that I went through the thread. I'm not even kidding. Every single post that mentioned my name was negative. And I think that's when I just decided to like not care about Reddit at all. In today's video, we're going to go through this thread. And like I said, in the past, I've done pretty bad on these threads, but this one I've gone through. I think I'm doing pretty good, but I think it's still kind of funny to read through the positive and the negative comments on here, just as sort of like a fun thing. And we have the live stream up and stuff, so it's kind of a group effort here. We can all just kind of laugh together at why everyone hates Dzeeff. So I know the first one that I mentioned in is actually the second post on here, which is pretty exciting. My favorite probably has to be Dzeeff though. Oh, thanks. He's super chill and talks about interesting topics which aren't necessarily about the meta. True. His videos have a lot of fluff to pad them out. But sometimes you just want content to listen to, not unlike a podcast. This is a piece of feedback I get a lot. Always get people coming up to me at events and saying, like, I listen to you while I'm at work. I listen to you while I'm in my car driving to work. I'm listening to you wherever. I think that's what I really try to do. I personally like to listen to podcasts a lot to my spare time, especially when I'm traveling. So I try to make my videos watchable, but also listenable without any sort of visual aspect. So I'm glad anytime I hear someone say, hey, Dzeeff, I don't get a chance to like watch the video, but I always get a chance to listen to them. I really do try to make my videos able to do that, which is really good to see positive feedback about. But then we get the hot negative comments. So Dzeeff is my least favorite. Can't stand his voice. He's also very opinionated. Isn't it kind of my job to be opinionated? As far as the voice thing goes, it's kind of hit or miss. I think that for a lot of people, they appreciate someone that's not like yelling at them all the time. But to a lot of people, yeah, it's like monotone, it's boring, and I get that. So it's to each their own, right? I think one of the cool things about YouTubing and YouTubing in general is that for no matter what kind of person you are, you'll always find a channel that you can like relate to and that you enjoy listening to. Sometimes those opinions change too. Maybe you really like someone and then you start realizing you kind of grew out of them. Maybe the opposite happens, and that's kind of cool. He also takes topics that take probably 3 minutes to discuss, stretches it into 9 to 11 minute long discussions with him repeating the same points over and over again. I've always said over and over again, what I try to do is I pick topics that have 10 minutes worth of content instead of trying to stretch it to 10 minutes. When I record things, I'm recording like 20 minutes to 25 minutes of audio straight, and that's just what I don't delete immediately. Like if I have to retake something, I'll just delete it. So when I'm cutting stuff out, sometimes when I get to like the last minute of stuff, I'm like, oh crap, it's like really close to 10 minutes. It's gonna look like I know some people just sit down, record 10 minutes straight, and then turn off the camera. But for me personally, I do a lot of takes. I spend a lot of time on the videos, even if people don't believe me that I do. So that's why even when they are like close to 10 minutes, they usually started out at like 20 to 25 minutes of audio that was just sort of cut down to be whatever. That's fair. He is opinionated, but I like that he covers weird topics that no one else does. A lot of catering to casual players. So that's interesting because I think that guy's like mostly positive. But one of the things that I've always noticed is that competitive players, probably like that commenter, thinks that I cater too much to casual players, but then casual players think I'm catering too much to competitive players, which begs the question, who is watching Dzeeff? Well, Dzeeff's the channel for everyone. For everyone. You know, I think if you're someone that's competitive or casual, you can find different aspects out of my videos that you might enjoy. It's not necessarily catering to one side of the spectrum or another. I think, in my personal opinion, I cater more to sort of the people that are just getting started in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Or going to regionals. That's kind of my target audience. He's opinionated in the worst way, though. He's purely results-based analysis. If a card isn't in meta at the moment, it's terrible. If a new deck comes out and abuses it, it's always been an amazing card. That is probably the most wrong analysis I've ever heard about my own content. I stress time and time again, the cards that have seen play in the past had their limelight, and if they're not seeing play anymore, doesn't mean they're not a bad card, but it means they're not competitive. I say that over and over and over again, and that's what makes me think that a comment like that has to come from someone that used to watch me like 2 years ago, back when I was like just starting out and like taking this seriously. I have to imagine it, because I think anyone that watches me could really understand that I try so hard to mention if a card saw play at any point in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. He also pushes the competitive casual narrative. What? The narrative? Is there a narrative about that? That's just two different types of players. He acts as though if you go to tournaments, you're automatically the more skilled player. Likewise, if you don't go to tournaments, you must not be very good. Those two things are completely independent. I think the only people that don't think there's a correlation with going to tournaments and being a more competitive player are the people not going to tournaments. It is definitely, I think those two paragraphs really do paint a very specific picture of what types of decks this player plays, which type of tournaments he goes to. Stuff like that is very clearly laid out just in those two paragraphs, basically. I like Dzeeff, but he sounds too monotone and never really excited for anything, which is better than overacting. Wait, was that like that was like a compliment at the end, which is better than overacting, but it seemed like he was kind of roasting me. He must have just not seen the videos where I talk about fluffles. I do love talking about fluffles. And someone, he sounded pretty emotional when he talked about the Ojama ding-dongs. I couldn't bear to watch that one. First, I hate the Ojamas, and second, the fact that he bowed down to peer pressure. Bowed down to peer pressure? That guy gave me $300 to... If bowing down to peer pressure is fulfilling a $300 donation, yeah, I guess I do bow down to peer pressure pretty often. What the heck? Of course you're gonna... Do you know how mad that guy would be if he donated $300 and then I didn't do what he asked me to do? Can you imagine the drama that would have came out of that? Hey, an actual positive one. I like his informative videos, and he isn't afraid to come up with an opinion piece out there. I also like how he's embraced the fact that some of his old videos really trigger casual elitists and also feeds that hate at this point. He's self-aware and has a good variety of videos for a pack opening channel, not a pack opening channel. Yeah, that's a really nice thing to say. You know, I really feel, I know people haven't watched me in like a year, haven't watched me in 2 years, maybe even some of them are watching this video now, would probably debate like if I've changed or not, but I actually feel when I go back and look at videos from a year ago that I was way too hard, way too critical on like casual players and stuff, and that's why I've kind of dialed back on like the Commentators Don't Understand series, dialed back on a lot of that kind of stuff. And even when I do talk about that kind of stuff, I think that it's important to address that people are playing casually and that it's okay. It's okay as long as they don't try to take their casual ideas and apply them to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what I say time and time again. But yeah, I think it's actually a really good summary of like what I try to do. Just do a variety of content that's interesting to several different types of players. Also, I don't try to take myself too seriously anymore. I just embrace the meme as it would be, I guess. Dzeeff and the dual logs for more random, not competition or meta-related content. I like the discussions and rank lists for old cards when I'm not looking to pay too much attention. Yeah, I think that personally I watch a lot of videos in the background, so I think that making videos that you can watch in the background that you don't have to be like so intently focused into is like cool. Duologs, great guy, good friend of mine. We both do posts. I always check his channel before I post a list just to make sure that I don't have the same idea that he had. He does a great job though. I have no complaints there, but he's we definitely have very similar. If you're watching my channel right now and you've never heard of the duologs, definitely go check him out. He's posts very similar content to mine. Not daily, but the stuff that he posts out is really, really solid. So I highly recommend checking him out if you're a fan of the stuff that I post, especially like the lists or what he usually does, like top 10s, top 5s. He does a fantastic job at that. So kudos to him. Dislike is a tie between Simo and Dzeeff. Dzeeff comes off as cocktail. I come off as a cocktail. And arrogant. I guess I am arrogant after that reply. Especially. I'm so sorry. This guy's. I know I'm doing exactly what he's complaining about, but yeah, I actually just did exactly what you said I would do, so I no complaints there. You're completely right. Oh, this is that Dig Bic Jace guy again. He just copied and pasted his previous comment. He's purely results based, so if your card is currently meta, blah blah blah. What bothers me more is his attitude towards tournament grinders being inherently better at the game than people who don't. Once again, I think we have the full picture of what this guy is. Someone that just plays on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro casually, which is perfectly fine, but I can see how someone that does exactly that would take offense to some things that I posted. I really don't see that. He tends to evaluate cards in a competitive context, which seems irrational to me considering he does try to be a competitive player, tends to highlight why cards use what... Wow, what a nice comment. I'll give you an upvote for that respectable comment that you have there. Here's the deal. My thing, I do sometimes, but I try not to spend too much time predicting what could be good. I try not to spend too much time sugarcoating what happened. I just try to give the history of what happened, the objective history, and then add my own subjectivity to the analysis part of why I think that happened. But that's why I like looking at the Yu-Gi-Oh! History so much, is because we don't need to guess if cards were good. We can look at the formats that they came out in. We can look at, if we're looking at particularly older cards, we can look at years that they've been out. If they've never seen competitive play, that we can take that and then say, well, why didn't they see competitive play, and how could they have seen competitive play? And I think that yeah, if you play those types of cards and you're a big fan of those types of cards, it can probably be pretty disappointing to watch my videos. And I think a lot of people out there are sugarcoating how good certain decks are, but I really try to just give it straight and honest. Even when I'm talking about my own decks, like Altergeist, I just made an entire video talking about why Altergeist are really bad right now. I'm still gonna play them because I still want to play them, but I think that yeah, if you play a lot of the cards that I make fun of, probably isn't going to be the channel for you. Least favorites, Asian Eyes lost his mind, Cap G, the king of clickbait, and worst offender of all, Dzeeff, has an ability to discredit players for heavily opinionated biases, redundant 10-minute videos explaining to who his casual fanbase why certain cards are not played, while having the audacity to discredit them as players in other discussions. Is this satire? Just the fact that he said having the audacity makes me think this is satirical. I don't think it is, though. As far as that goes, that's kind of what I was mentioning earlier with competitive players think it's too casual, casual players think it's too competitive. As far as the why nobody plays videos go, they're made for more casual audiences in mind, and then they're made to sort of make them see the more competitive side of Yu-Gi-Oh! Least favorite, Dzeeff. He's probably a nice guy in person. But his videos are just him talking condescendingly about a topic that most people already know, stretched out for 10 minutes, when anyone could research it in 5 minutes top. Anytime I get a comment from someone saying, you could have said this in 30 seconds, you could have said it in 1 minute. Here's the thing. There are, in some cases, when it gets commented on the Pot of Greed video, when it gets commented on the Egyptian God card video, if you're someone that's been out of the game, if you've been out of the game for 10 years, maybe even longer than 10 years, maybe you played just as a kid, and you see a video that says why Pot of Greed is banned, does opening that video and having some asshole tell you that in 30 seconds, Pot of Greed is a +1, end scene, does that help? Does that make you want to subscribe to that person? You don't even know what a +1 is. You haven't played the game in 10, 15 years. And even the more casual players, I find card advantage to be a pretty abstract idea to a lot of people. I just don't play competitively. Opening a video and having someone tell you it's a trap card, or it's a +1, or it's a -1, depending on if you're talking about why nobody plays or why this card is banned, that's not helpful. That's not analytical. And then you get to this issue where, okay, if someone opens a video and I say Jargreed's back as a trap card, well, what do they learn from that? Then they're saying, well, there's plenty of trap cards that I've seen play. How does this compare to those ones? If I see a video that the title's an analysis video, if it said why blank is banned, and I see that it's 20 seconds long, I'm just not gonna click it. I want more information. I want to see the history of the card, and what I try to do, I mean, obviously in the Pot of Greed video, it's a great example. I want to see why the card was played when it came out, why it was banned in the first place, and then also why it's still banned today. And in that video, I do all three of those things, because if I was someone clicking that video, that's what I would want to hear about. I wouldn't want to open the video, see it called a +1, and then just that's the whole video. That's not interesting. That doesn't get people coming back. I mean, maybe that works to a meme point, maybe for one video. If I just open it and said why no one plays Firewall Dragon, they open it and it says Firewall Dragon's banned. I think think Davinator did that, and that was hilarious. But if I did that for every single video, yeah, it gets old really fast. People come, it's gonna sound crazy, but people come for the analysis. That's what they want to, when they open my videos, especially those bigger ones, they're clicking them for the analysis, for the in-depth analysis that they expect from the channel. That's why those videos are longer, because I spend a lot of time trying to cover every single aspect of that situation and also try to preemptively answer any confusing comments. So that's why they usually have a lot of things that might sound easy to you, simple to you, but as someone that hasn't played in a while, someone a little bit more casual, maybe it's a little bit more of a step up from what they're used to thinking about in terms of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyway though, hope you guys enjoyed today's discussion video on reading these mean comments. To be completely honest, I skipped a lot of positive comments, and overall, more so than like the last time I've read Reddit on people saying stuff about me, this actually was fairly positive. I saw a lot of people saying that I was one of their favorites. Super humbling. Like I said, I don't really try to cater to the Reddit audience. I think we learned a little bit about the people that did leave the negative comments. Obviously, we're all open to negative feedback. When you're a YouTuber, when you're like an influencer person, if you can call us that, I guess, you have to be open to negative feedback, and you have to change things according to that negative feedback. But I think a lot of times when it comes to like the subreddit in general, it is sort of like an echo chamber. You see someone else saying like, oh, Dzeeff sucks, and then you just comment, yeah, he does suck, and then a third person comments, yeah, he really does suck, that kind of thing. But I think that there is some critical analysis happening in like this subreddit, just not for everyone. And I think that especially, I didn't really see it to me personally, but whenever someone brings up like an ad hominem type deal argument, that just makes you feel like really wrong. Like, don't diss people on like how they look or how they act and stuff like that. Just try to look at their content, because at the end of the day, all YouTubers, even if you don't like us, we're still people, and you don't see like all of our lives. Even if I post a video every single day for the week, that's only like an hour out of my week, out of every single one of those days. That's a lot of hours you're missing out on. So if you hate someone's content, just try to realize that they're a person too, and we're all just trying to make money and pay our bills. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this analysis video. I'll see you later. Goodbye.